we already know, as you guys, I'm sure, are well aware. I mean, people see how low voter turnout is in congressional primaries. I can't even imagine how low it must be in state house primaries.
Especially since the Republicans moved our primary to now August 2nd. And they're not telling anybody because the less people vote, the better they do.
And people, I always talk with people and they're like, yeah, I vote down ballot. And I'm like, oh, that's good on you. And they're like, yeah, I vote for Congress. And I'm like, well, you can get, more down the ballot than that. You can go for county commissioner. You can go for mayor. And we have to start like a strategy from like bottom up. And that's exactly what the Ohio GOP has done, like historically, to have such a strong solidified standing here. And we've seen that with Governor Voinovich's, sweep into office along with other statewide offices. And in fact, I in my personal opinion, I think that's the reason why today, state auditor, attorney general, and, governor, all those statewide offices and also secretary of state, it's all Republican held seats.
And here's what I'll tell you is that the Republicans in Ohio have been doing this bottom-up approach, which I've been campaigning for the Democrats to do for so long, because I love the top of the ticket candidates, but you can't be friends with them. You can't have them in your living room. When you can get people excited about smaller candidates that get people to turn out and vote blue, the numbers will come for the statewide candidates. And that's what we need to start doing.
And it's not just like a voting blue because, to support the Democrats, but also voting blue because this is how you can save our state. We've just had House Bill 99 passed, which, school districts can choose if they want to arm their teachers. And recently we made national headlines for the genital inspections for,
we're going to have to talk about that if you're going to bring that up, because I don't understand how that protects children to be looking at their genitalia.
How does that violate your constitutional rights?
Oh, for God's sake. That's not going to be upheld, by the way. Like
the Party of Freedom has continued trying to ban our books, to force mandatory inspections on children's genitalia. It's insane. It's insanity to arm teachers with 24 hours of training, only 2 with a gun. It's common sense. It really is common sense.
You can't trust teachers with the curriculum. How can you trust them with guns? It's just that simple.
Yeah.
And I think that there's, again, there are many instances where people, it's overly hyperbolic regarding how bad the Democrats, are, let's say, in terms of the way that they operate, let's say in California or New York, and then how the Republicans operate in their dominated states. The GOP in Ohio is really bad.
It is not comparable.
The FBI investigated our state house and deemed it one of the most corrupt right now in the nation.
And you know what? The FBI ranked Ohio's state government as the most corrupt out of any of the 50 states. And
I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised. Majority. My opponent, again, like I said, my opponents had scandals. But the scary part about it is they're so blatant in their corruption, and they're so blatant in these bills, and people pretend like these evils are somehow comparable. They're not. It's not even close to the same level. There's one party in Ohio that is for common sense and one that is for extremism. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. I just want to say one thing though about when you do get low voter turnout, even though that's not good, it really makes it really possible for non-corporate people to be able to win local and smaller and state offices without expending a fortune of money. And so you need less voters to come out for you. In theory, it's a numbers game. You know this. It's a numbers game. It's how many voters can you get out and vote for you? And when you have low turnout, you need to get less voters as well.
Absolutely.
Do you guys know Nick Raimondo by any chance? Does that name sound familiar?
He's up near like Sandusky.
Well, doesn't everybody in Ohio know everybody?
Oh, for God's sake!
I'm just kidding. He's a great candidate that ran for Congress in a very red district. He was the Democrat, but he actually is a progressive. But now,
yes,
he is. Is he a city council member? But he's
so he did something local.
But he's an elected official.
Great.
And the more that local base gets built up is really what is going to make the difference. Now, I don't know how much you guys are familiar with Jen's congressional run against Debbie Wasserman Schultz, but what we did in our race was focus on community service, basically transforming politics into service. So reaching out to the local small businesses, being in the community is so immensely important. Have you guys more or less figured out your strategy? Is it about, providing service to the community? What has been the appeal? What is that strategy to really galvanize a lot of local support?
Yeah, so I can speak for my district. So our representative, we have had a representative who's been an absentee representative for the past 8 years. And so he doesn't even show up to go vote. And,
he doesn't even vote. Yeah.
In the words of, what he said in an article in 2016, my vote doesn't matter. We already have a Republican supermajority. So why should I show up?
Why should you even be there?
Exactly.
When you're elected by, by popular demand based on people in your district that think their votes like mattered, and you say that's a really bad example. And not to mention, you're from the party of fiscal responsibility while you're eating away our district taxpayers' salary benefits. And so he doesn't even show up to vote. And you see like the roll call sheet for like all these like controversial bills proposed in the Ohio State House just recently. You don't see Zeltwanger because you may think, oh wow, he didn't want to vote for the yes on this bill. No, he just plain and simple, he didn't even show up.
To give you a little bit of background on Paul Zeltwanger, the current representative in Sam's district, he's one of the 4 Republicans who tried to impeach DeWine over his COVID restrictions.
Right,
and that's about the most notable thing he's done. So I mean, we're in contact with a lot of representatives that are currently serving because they're egging us on. They love what we're doing. They'll sometimes send us pictures of this big board where they all vote. Zeltwanger's name is never there.
Never there. Yeah.
How come he's not terming out? Hasn't he been there a while? Like you guys have term limits.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, okay. Yeah. I'll get to that. So in the 90s, our state had just rampant government corruption, and still, of course, it's like multiplied. But back then, the voters were very annoyed about it, and so they placed an issue on the ballot initiative to put term limits on state legislators. And it really shaped the makeup of the entire state legislature, because now you had like 1/3 of incoming, or 1/3 of state legislators that were incoming. Of course, they were all new to the game, and the procedures were different. And now term limits, it's 4 terms, and each term is 2 years. And so he's been term limited, and that's the only reason why he's leaving office. Otherwise, I believe that he would have just kept putting his name on the ballot.
For sure.
He did not do any active campaigning. And so like in the previous 4 election cycles that he's ran in, all the candidates that ran in my spot as the Democrat, there weren't any primaries back then, so they were the nominees. This is like the first time our district is having a Democratic primary. So back then, all those candidates, they poured thousands and thousands of dollars. And if I recall correctly, just in 2020, in the last election cycle, there was a 21-year-old senior from UMich that ran in my seat, my spot for Paul Zeltwanger's seat. And Paul Zeltwanger spent around $1,000, and then he spent $50K, and still he lost by a significant margin.
And to kind of circle back to what's our strategy with community building. Obviously, we've talked about how his representative Zeltwanger, he's term limited, but even when he wasn't campaigning. He wasn't anywhere. Right. I can say that my opponent, who's not term limited, I'm running against an incumbent. Her name is Sarah Carruthers. She will throw on a campaign t-shirt and hop in a parade and wave, but that's about it. She'll pay other people to campaign for her. But my strategy is to outwork her. I mean, Sam and I we were both out on the doors today. It was 95 degrees here in Southwest Ohio, and we're putting in the work.
Yeah. And we're taking the Proxmire strat and making it really grassroots. And I think that there's just a lot of inspiration with just Senator William Proxmire. Sherrod Brown, our senator from Ohio, has his desk in the Senate. And so how William Proxmire approached running in a red state as a Democrat was that he had a quota of how many hands he would shake every single day, and he would not go to sleep if he didn't reach that quota. And so he shook so many hands, and through that, that's how he won, not just the Senate race, but he was the first candidate of any party in red Wisconsin to win every county. He shook everyone's hand and got, involved. And that's my goal. I'm going to make it, my goal to just walk all over the district and talk to as many voters as possible, and just show that I've been everywhere.
Yeah, I think that's the best thing you can do. Most of the people,
Yeah.
when you knock on their door, they've never had somebody knock on their door before. They're going to be like, just so like nobody's ever asked them. And we would ask people like, what can we do for you? How can we help you? What can your representative do for you? What's, you know, and they were like dumbfounded by this. Nobody has ever done anything, but at best never offered to help.
Yeah, and you're right. And I think our three campaigns are very similar, Jen, in the fact that, I mean, first of all, for me, listening is so much more important than talking. What can I do for you? Not, can I have your vote? Because
Right.
they'll immediately slam the door in your face, as well as the fact that our districts are both fairly rural. There are a lot of areas where we'll knock on doors, and it's not just Democrats that haven't been there. They haven't seen a politician come knock on their door. It's insane. So we need to reach out to every single corner of our district and kind of strategically pick out those votes.
Are you guys cross-pollinating? I'm sorry, are you cross-pollinating with each other so that like you are like, not a slate, but like where you can like collaborate resources?
Yeah. Sam Squared or Sam's Club. We're still trying to decide a name.
Sam's Club. Yeah,
And
that works.
I will tell you guys something. Way back when I first got into this race, I started an offhand Twitter group chat with like 5 candidates from Southwest Ohio. Sam was one of the ones in there originally. That group chat has grown to be over 70 candidates, incumbents and non-incumbents, congressional, all of our statewide candidates, Tim Ryan, Nan Whaley. And we really are forming a community. I've never seen this done before with a statewide slate. We are planning to get together. Our regional candidates are collaborating, and we're really showing that the Democrats have a united front here, because if we don't, we're going to lose, and we can't afford that.
And we call ourselves the #FlipOhioBlue Coalition on Twitter.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
If there's a state that needs to unrig its gerrymandering and really have representation for the people.
We've spent some time in Ohio. We were up there canvassing for Nina this last time, and I'm really a fan of Cleveland. I got to tell you, that city is definitely pleases me.
Honestly, and listen, I love our country, and I think there's unique parts of all of the first 4 corner states that you go to: Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, Nevada. But honestly, Ohio is the United States of America.
It's the most, it really is the most representative state of everything in this country. It is. Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.